Yeah, this is what it's about. It's about our parents, our students, our teachers coming together to form a community, because that's what it's all about. It's about one community. Yet the school board think our children are throwaways. Our children are not throwaway kids. Let's not let the school board treat our children like throwaways. They're destroyers of our children, deceivers of the community, and the destructive force of humanity. This school district is rated one of the lowest in New York State, receives more outside money than any other school district in the area, giving positions to their friends and family, the lowest graduation rate of every school district in the area, the lowest test scores of every school district in the area, giving friends and family tens of thousands of dollars in bonus money on top of their base salary. School board member casting corrupt, dishonorable, and unethical votes, costing the school district and community millions of dollars. Warehousing our children in a building that is not only unsafe, but is inadequate programming. They removed all librarians from all our elementary schools. But this is mission literacy, right, at its best. This school district is spending millions on unnecessary administrators that we definitely do not need, which will save us millions of dollars. This is what it's about. So this is what I want you to listen to. Our community come together, the parents, student, teachers, and I'll be back.
Good evening. My name is Brian Woods, a science teacher. As the board is aware, the district was issued a temporary certificate of occupancy down at the Pace Columbus School program. This was due to the certificate, the CO, that we had before that being for a vacant building. I don't know how that happened. That's a big mistake. This temporary certificate is going to expire October 19th unless 4 stipulations are made. First off, number 1, fire inspection. Can I have more time if we're going to do that? Fire inspection. Fire inspection includes, this already happened on October 6th, Thursday. This is during an installation of a new boiler down at Pace. So how could you possibly pass this fire inspection if there was a new boiler going in, a new system to heat the building? An elevator inspection needs to be done. That's good news, we don't have an elevator at Pace, but we do work from 2 floors. So I ask you, is that a violation of the American Disabilities Act? Second thing that needs to happen, a building level emergency response plan that the superintendent, the deputy superintendent actually showed us in September. Obviously, that was very disingenuous. Matter of fact, it's a downright lie to the public because obviously there was no building emergency plan. So we're asking for that to be done. Of course, this plan needs to be done with a building level safety team composed of a school personnel and parent organizations. I don't know of any parents that have been involved with this, nor teachers. So I don't know how you're going to do that. That needs to be done by October 15th. That's this Saturday. And then, and finally, for this building emergency plan, you need to have a public hearing for the building level safety plan before the school board can adopt it. I don't know if you're doing that tonight, but you're running out of time. Third thing, compliance of the Commissioner's Regulations 155, which basically is a list of codes, rules, and regulations. You have to have an emergency response team, a post-incident response team, a building-level school safety team. None of these are in compliance. So, fourth, and most important, drinking water samples. They need drinking water samples because they need to test for the presence of lead. It's a 1929 building. Obviously, there's probably more than likely going to be lead. I would be surprised if you did not find that. While you're there, of course, the air quality inspection that we already had done that you haven't given to us yet, an asbestos inspection, radon inspection, mold remediation. So with all of this, all of these need to be done so that you can get a permanent certificate of occupancy. It's very embarrassing the way you've been deceiving and lying to the public. I'm sorry, Board President, if you don't mind, sir, I'd like to get your attention. Thank you. With that, it's very, very disturbing how you have been just deceiving the public. And it's all going to come sooner or later. It's all going to come back.
Absolutely.
Excuse me, I have 3 seconds.
Excuse me.
There is no excuse. That's the problem. Thank you.
Yes, yes, we stand by you, Mr. Woods. Yes, standing up for the rights of children and parents.
Mr. Murtaugh, I'm sorry, before you begin, I do want to remind the audience that there is a proper decorum for a meeting, and those who do not follow our policy will be asked to leave. So we respect everyone's comments. We will respect what everyone has to say this evening, but we have to respect proper policy for our meetings, okay?
You would not even respect it. You didn't even look
You
at
didn't
it.
respect it.
As a human being, if you were looking at the paper,
Excuse me.
you didn't even look at it.
Sir.
Bob Murtaugh, Pace. It was stated last board meeting by the superintendent that the state representative had a question and answer period with staff and students at Pace at the date of the SED's alleged surprise visit on 9/28. No communication occurred. As chief building rep, no interview with state rep. PPSTA president, not invited. Each certified teacher teaching at Pace interviewed by myself. All teachers stated that they did not have a question and answer dialogue with the SED representative. The cover-ups of the over 300-page document that Mr. Woods and myself have afforded the superintendent and central office administration to make the PACE program equitable for all scholars has to stop. Monday's 9/26 meeting in Albany by superintendent and subsequent surprise visit Wednesday did not invite Ms. Green, but in the spirit of transparency, it's magical that the president of the board, superintendent, head of security, head of curriculum, head of HR, well, let's face it, central office was in attendance for the surprise visit, and the chief building rep, as well as the labor union's president, working in joint effort in the spirit of collaboration, were never a part of nor spoke to any state representative. We believe both of these statements to be either a disingenuous statement before the board or simply just misleading the public. A board member, asked, what are the problems with PACE? We've had this program for over 8 years now. We believe the question that should be asked: what is the graduation rate of the students involved with the alternative program for the last 8 years? Have no protocols been in place for the last 8 years for the selection into and back to mainstream programs? Have required courses to graduate not been available for the last 8 years in the alternative program? What BEDS code, Basic Education Data System, has been used at the alternative school for the last 8 years? Was the reporting of the failure and dropout rate reported correctly to the Department of Education? Board members may wish to consider: have we violated students' rights to equal access of an educational opportunity? What are the individual board members' culpability, and if so, liability? What actions as board members must we immediately vote on to correct these wrongdoings? How do board members gain separation from these discriminatory practices inflicted on the 8 years' worth of students? Drastic changes needed here. Respectfully submitted tonight for retraction of factual inaccuracies tonight and the future of professional collaboration. If the members of the board cannot and will not address this mistruths with full public retraction tonight, and we correct this tonight, in-house, we must, have, and will continue to seek outside oversight for corrective redress.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
Yes. My name is Kathy Bradford. Not only am I a parent, but I'm an activist.
Can you state your address for the record, please?
I don't need to state my
You have to
address.
state your address for the
For
record.
what?
It's policy.
But what, for what policy? You gotta tell me why. Why do I need to say my address? I just said I'm a parent.
Ma'am, please state your address for the record.
But for what reason? What do you need my address for? You want my address? I'll give you my address. 360 Church Street, apartment 1. And I'm gonna say it again. I'm an activist. Okay? I can't believe that I got a chance to meet all you guys on this board. And you need to be ashamed of yourself to put our kids in harm's way at that alternative filth school. They're not even getting no education. Don't even have the books. How dare you? How dare you put my kid in that damn program?
Excuse me.
And I'm telling you, and I'm gonna say
I'm
this,
going to ask you to
and I'm gonna
refrain
say
from
this to
using
you.
profanity.
And I'm
Or
gonna
I'm
say
gonna ask
to
you
you,
to end your comments.
after today, and not just today, we're gonna be here. And I'm gonna tell you right now, it's gonna be a serious lawsuit for what you did to my child and other people's kids up in here. And I'm telling you that. So get ready for a lawyer.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes.
Here come my man.
My name is
Sorry,
Dante
we got that
Jackson,
one.
and I'm the PACE advocate, so please pay attention to me as I pay attention to all of you. PACE students are being discriminated against. Why is it that every school in the Poughkeepsie City School District has had a police officer outside the school accept Pace since the incident on Friday? Is our safety not important to y'all either? Why is it that we were barred from pep rally with no causes? Why is it I'm on track to graduate, but I'm forced to take 5 online 70-hour credit recovery classes with no teacher, but I only need 6 credits to graduate? This is an oligarchy, a system which means a limited number of people make decisions for many. As a student of the Poughkeepsie City School District, I request that the superintendent and the board members step down immediately because I do not agree with the decisions you have made on my behalf. Education is the tool used to craft the future. Take away the education, you take away the future. And that's what y'all are doing, trying to take away our future.
Step it down. That's right.
Good job, good job.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. My name is Dominique Sutter, 120 Hudson Avenue. I'm a substitute teacher. I've worked for the school district for over 4 years now. I've been seeing what's going on in the district. I'm very unhappy with it. I'm disgusted, actually. I see some of you with a smug look on your face. The last meeting, you said that you all have children. Would you put your child in this program? Can you honestly say, yes, let me go put my child in this predicament? This is a perfect learning environment. You have these kids being held hostage. That's what it looks like to me, because they can't go back to their home schools, but they don't have the resources here at this new program like they were intentionally told prior to going into this program. Oh, this is going to be a better learning environment for you. You're going to have everything that you need to graduate. You're going to have everything that you need to transition. But I have still yet to see a protocol. I was told by administrative staff that protocol was not followed, and that's why certain students can't go back, or they were not able to be reinstated into their home schools. But I have yet to see it, and we're into almost the end of October now. It's disgusting.
It is.
How are you going to say, okay, we're going to limit these children, or we're going to restrict you from going to these schools because there's a protocol or procedures in place, but you're not notifying the parents of this? They have nothing. Where's the open house? The other schools have had open houses, but I haven't seen everything in the building yet, and I'm pretty sure that none of the other parents have either. I want to know what's going to be done about this. How much longer do the kids have to wait and suffer for you to get it together? Thank you.
Yes. That was my daughter. My name is Amelia Suddeth. I live at 120 Hudson Avenue. You have been persecuting my son Dante Jackson and also now my daughter from employment for speaking out for the rights of students and the right to a fair education. Your building was under standards. You knew that. Between texting, because that's all I see going on is texting back and forth. Between your texting back and forth, you knew that this building was not up to code.
I'm going to ask that you address
You knew that the building was not up to code.
She is.
You knew that
Exactly.
the building was not up to code for the whole board,
It's gonna be dealt with.
for everyone. You knew that you put these children in danger. You knew that, okay? You knew
Yes.
everything that was wrong with that
Yes, she
building
did.
when you did this to our children.
Yes, she did.
You knew my son's medical history when you did this to my child, okay? My son has 15.25 credits. He only needs 6.25 credits to graduate. This is personal. This is being done to him personally. I've never heard of a principal being able to tell a student, I don't like you, you're a liar, this is my school. I've never heard of that. You are no longer the student. The school is not your playground. All of you need to step down. Let's
All of
clean
you.
it up.
That's right.
Clean it up.
That's right.
Clean it up. You've turned your back on our children one too many times.
That's right.
Too many times. You've used our children as scapegoats.
Yes.
No more. No more is what I say. With the little bit of time that I have on the clock, no more. I hear the boredom. I see it in your faces. I see you went down in your phone constantly.
I'm going to ask you one last time
I'm saying
to
again.
address your comments
I'm
to the
saying
full
again.
board, or I'm gonna
I'm
have to-
saying again. I'm saying again before the full board. Before the full board then, Mr. Coates.
Thank you.
And you also included.
Thank
You
you.
all need to step down.
Step
Make room for new people that care about the children,
Yes.
that care about their education.
Yes.
8 years is too long. You know it was illegal.
Shut it down.
7 years.
That's right.
You know it was illegal. Since
Yes.
1929, this building has been built. Shut it down.
Yes.
You knew it was wrong. You knew my son wasn't lying. You knew these teachers weren't lying. And you're constantly trying to persecute excellent teachers in the community. How about you step down and let the teachers and the students step up?
Yes. That's right.
No more
Yes.
injustice.
Are there
That's
any
right.
more citizen comments?
No more injustice.
Zoe?
There's no more conversation after today. That's it.
Ma'am, if you're not gonna follow our policy, then I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. I'm sorry. We've listened to your concerns.
We'll all leave.
We listened
We're all
to your
together.
concerns, but you have to respect.
You want us all to leave? We'll.
As you just heard, you heard our community coming together as one community. This is what it's supposed to do. Now I want you to listen as the school board make their remarks.
I pretty much have been very quiet from taking, the opening statements from the community. Basically, I'm the one that brought it up. We've had a Turner program for 8 to 9 years. It was different names. It was at the old Health Shield building. Let's just move it back there. If it's Columbus School. Seriously. We're paying $605,000 a year for a lease that we didn't sign, but we're still paying it. We put the kids back into our school, which was a Columbus School. And we closed Columbus School, not because it was condemned. We closed it for financial reasons. So for the people that grew up here and know what's really going on, that's the truth. All right? But everybody's concerned about pace and education, and I agree. Every kid deserves, an education, a fair education. I mean, God knows. I've committed 12 years on this board. I went to school here 30-something years ago. My kids went here where basically, I love Poughkeepsie. So I just want to put that out there. It's called accountability. I'm being held accountable. And take my word for it, people will be held accountable. I will say that. People get paid a lot of money for doing things that ain't getting done. Period. When I have to come here and hear the concerns of certain people, it upsets me because there's two sides of the story, but we can't say our side of the story, but they can say their quotes or misquotes, whatever. But let me put this out. Last year in November, and I'll say this firmly, last year in November there was 150 staff, teachers, and parents that came and begged for an alternative program. We didn't have it in last year's budget. We brought it back. So let's put that out there. People want to talk about what's going on. Where's those people now when we're getting banged out for an alternative program this year? I just want to say that. Last year was the same thing. We didn't have a program. The teachers and staff and principals came to us and begged us for an alternative program. And we made something happen over Christmas vacation. All right? I just want to put that out there. I'm tired of taking people, listening to people bang me and my peers, and they don't understand what it is to take to be a board member. We don't get paid a dollar. There's a lot of money floating around. That's all I can say. People need to do their jobs. Seriously.
To piggyback off of Mr. Charter, in regards to the PACE program, I went down to the PACE program last week to visit, to see what was going on from the previous meeting, and I found out, there's some things that we need to fix. Okay, we're going to be honest. Okay, again, we're about.
Mr. Dunn, let me. I hate to interrupt you because when people hear that, I think you need to have to clarify. Like putting outlets on sockets. Let's clarify the things that you're saying that needs to be fixed. That we don't have the building falling apart.
Yes,
so
yes.
Okay, so let's break it down.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, no problem. As I was saying, I went down and I saw a couple outlets that needed to be fixed. Some shades that were that probably needed to be replaced. Little small things like that. But it was nothing of significance where we have these people coming out in an outcry, like the building needs to be condemned. We shut the building down again, like Mr. Charter said, because of financial reasons. We couldn't afford to keep the building going. We opened it back up because we had to get rid of the Circle of Courage because it was costing the taxpayers $666,000 a year. So what I want to say is that a lot of this manufactured controversy is done by a couple teachers that don't want to be down there. And I'm just going to keep it real. Okay? So now, and I'm quite sure you all see that. Okay? The bottom line is that I've heard that we have some kids over at the middle school that are out of control. Okay? And a few at the high school. Send them down to PACE. send them down. I don't have a problem with that. Okay, because they don't need to be in a setting where they're being disruptive to other kids. And then you have parents come down here when their kids are disruptive in the classroom. I got to scratch my head on that. Send your kid to school to learn, be respectful, resourceful, resound, ready to learn. And he wouldn't be down there. We wouldn't need a PACE program. Thank you.
Thank you. This is my final comment. And I think I made my position very clear last week in regards to the PACE program. And I've come to learn, and sometimes it takes you a lot to go through what you go through when you're in these positions, that you can't please everyone. You can't please everyone. Mr. Charter just said 150 people. We got to move board meetings because of an outcry of 50, 60 students terrorizing our secondary schools. And the last thing I want to say is, because there was a comment made this evening about we wouldn't send our children down here. And I just want to say, for the record, you wouldn't have to worry about my child down in PACE. You wouldn't have to worry about that, because I'm going to do what I need to do for my child. Okay? So, you know, and what I think the board needs to start doing, and maybe we need to look at moving our comments to the beginning of the meeting, because I think there's some things that need to be said earlier while others are still here.
Yes.
Okay? Because the received threats that we wouldn't want our child, my child wouldn't be in an alternative program. Because I wouldn't go for it. And I'm just going to say that for the record. I know Dr. Williams has one more final comment, and then I'm going to ask the board for a motion to adjourn. And before I go to Dr. Williams, I do have to agree with Mr. Charter as well. You know, there's a lot of stuff that this board takes a lot of hits for. And I've told some people sometimes we don't even know what's going on with certain stuff. And I'm going to piggyback what he said. If there's certain people in this organization that's not doing what they're supposed to be doing, there will be some accountability. And I repeat myself, I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are. You will be held accountable. The board has a responsibility, and each staff member in this organization has a responsibility. And certain things that we hear and we have to deal with at the mic because certain people didn't do what they were supposed to do, I have a problem with it. And I also agree, if we could say what we really want to say up here, I think a lot of people would really know what's going on.
Okay, let's analyze what they had to say. First, we're going to start with Greg Charter. First, he says he should have been quiet. He should have stayed quiet. Then he's going to have the nerve to talk about accountability. And they're going to be held accountable. Friends and family are never held accountable. This is just a game that they're playing. So that's another thing that he said, being held accountable. I don't see any accountability here from the superintendent down. Next, he wants to talk about people getting paid a lot of money. Yeah, friends and family are getting paid a lot of money, plus bonus money on top of that, and then double dipping. Then he goes on that there's two sides of the story, but they can't say their side of the story, but yet I've invited them to debate in public, a public forum. If you wanted to say your side of the story, you had the opportunity, but you're too cowardly to do that. Next, he talked about how they begged, 150 people begged, staff, teachers, parents begged to have an alternative program, and so they brought it back. The problem with that is, Greg, Mr. Charter, is that they wanted a program that was going to give their children educational fortitude so they can get a high school diploma to graduate, not just to warehouse them down there and give them a program that is not performing well, basically not really a program. They're not getting the educational fortitude that they need from what they're doing right down there. So don't say here that you beg. Yeah, they begged for a program to help their children, not to harm them like it's doing now. Next, he wants to complain about people coming to the mic basically and bang him and his peers for what's going on. The problem with that is you're up there. You got elected. And if you can't handle this, then you should step down. Because that's what happens when you get elected to a position. You're held accountable. So stop whining about people banging you and your cohorts. Because you're supposed to take this and you're supposed to do a job that's indicative of a better education for our children. And then you're going to foster indignation because people do speak up. Next up was Randy Johnson. He had a nerve to say he went down there and basically all he saw was light covers off the lights and a few shades that needed to be replaced, but nothing significant. He is a liar, or he did not really look. Because I believe the people that's down there all the time, not somebody that takes one time walk through and say there's nothing wrong with it. And then Mr. Johnson is going to say that a lot of this manufactured controversy is because of a couple of teachers who don't want to be down there. That's the biggest lie I've heard. And then he's going to say he wants to keep it real. He ain't never kept it real the whole time he's been on the board. He's been phony the whole time. And then he'll speak like he's going to do something, but he never does. Then Mr. Johnson's going to have the nerve to say that he heard that the middle school, they have kids that's just out of control, and the high school. And that then when the parent's child becomes disruptive in class, then they want to come and speak. But I want to tell you something, Mr. Johnson. I've seen children that were down there that wasn't disruptive in class. I've seen children get punished and put down there because something they did outside of the school district, period. They were doing everything they're supposed to do in school, but something happened outside the school district and they got sent down there. I've seen kids sent down there because their parents were too active, too complaining about what's going on. So for you to say that, you really can't make that comment. Just stick to what you know, which is nothing, I see. Then Mr. Johnson's going to say, seniors get kids to school, be respectful, and they wouldn't be down there. I don't think he should be talking about anybody's kids being respectful. And what got me was that, okay, all the parents and all the community, the teachers are all gone. So the only ones there were administrators. And of course, they're going to be clapping because they're the ones getting paid all this money. Next up was the illustrious leader of the school board, and of course I meant that sarcastically, Ralph misquotes Coates, because I heard Charter say something about misquotes. And then he's going to get up there and say, you can't please everybody. Yeah, just friends and family you can please. And then regurgitate some of the things that Mr. Charter said about begging for a program. And as Mr. Charter doesn't understand, neither do you. Yes, they needed a program that will advance their educational fortitude so they can graduate. Not just anything and then warehouse them down at a building like they're going to prison. The school to prison pipeline, that's what that is. And then Mr. Coates says, after he said there are all these kids terrorizing secondary level in the middle school and high school, he says you wouldn't have to worry about my kids down there. Because the problem with that is that at that time he was being self-righteous and he was being condescending. See, now he's going to curse himself. It's one thing to say, I'm blessed that my children haven't been there, but to brag and say, well, they'll never be down there because this, God's going to show you what, if he believes in God, God's going to show you that things can happen no matter how good you are, because situations happen. Because there is somebody up there that has a child that is outrageous. Then Mr. Coates say, maybe we should think about bringing our comments to the beginning of the meeting so people can hear what they have to say. But you can only do that if you give the audience, the community, the opportunity after you say what you need to say, that they get to say what they need to say. The problem is that we used to have a comment at the beginning and at the end of the meeting for citizens. Under this watch, they got rid of that. And then Mr. Coates says, my child wouldn't be down there. And then Mr. Johnson smirks about that, and That is being self-righteous. It's one thing to say, like I said before, that I'm glad or I'm blessed that my children never had to go through that. But to say what you said and to make those smirks and sounds, he was being self-righteous and condescending to our kids in the community. And then Mr. Coates says there's a lot of stuff that this board takes. A lot of stuff. The problem with that is you're supposed to take it. If you're doing wrong or if things are not going in order that they're supposed to do, and the advancement of the education of these children is not being done, yes, you're supposed to take those hits. If you can't take those hits, you need to get off the board. I'm tired of you complaining about that. We're not getting paid for this. Then get off the board. Don't complain about it if you're on there. If you want to be on there, stop complaining. Next coach says there's some people not doing what they're supposed to be doing. There's going to be accountability, and you don't care who they are. Well, we know that's a prevarication, because he's not going after friends and family that's or some of them that's not doing what they're supposed to do or doing wretched things, and yet he wants to make the comment. So yeah, it looks good in public, but you don't do that. What you're doing to this district is deplorable. So don't say that you don't care who they are. Yes, you do, and you're not going to do anything. The last thing that Ralph Misquote Coates had to say was that if we could say what we really want to say up here, a lot of people would know what's really going on. Let me reiterate. I have been trying to organize a community forum, but no one on the school board nor the district administration wanted to speak on the issues that's plaguing the school district. I have made public challenges to them, yet they refuse to be transparent and come to a community forum for fear of their true intentions being exposed. They hide behind the bureaucracy of these school board meetings because they control it, and they can convey all types of prevarications and their hidden agenda, which is not the well-being of our most precious resources, our children. Their nefarious schemes have put our children and community in a precarious position that will take years to correct. In order to correct this, we have to have them removed from their current positions on the school board and out of administration. Not all administration is iniquitous, but being quiet about what is transpiring in this school district and not coming forward for our children makes them just as accountable. The two teachers that are speaking up for our children, trying to protect their rights to a quality education, Mr. Wood and Mr. Murtaugh, shows that it can be done. Yes, they are being ostracized by a consortium of villainous, self-righteous individuals that control the school district. I applaud Mr. Wood and Mr. Murtaugh for their actions, no matter what the reason, because they have given legitimacy to the accusations that have been afflicting this school district and ignored for so long. I am so proud of the parents and students who came out to speak up for the community. We cannot allow them to perpetrate a fraud on our community. No longer can we as a community stand by and allow them to be condescending and self-righteous when they are speaking about our children. If they have the mitigated gall to publicly make these types of comments, what are they saying in private behind closed doors? It is obvious that the school board and administrations have a disdain for our children and our community, which is evidenced in their words and actions. We need to come together as one cohesive community to fight for our children's education and rid them of these deceitful, untrustworthy, arrogant individuals that put our children's education in a perpetual cycle of failure. Our children are not throwaway kids.